Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. We'll start today's show with a very special guest who is recognized nationally as one of the leading advocates for educational system reform. He served as the superintendent of Milwaukee Public Schools from 1991 to 1995, and he's worked for many years as a distinguished professor of education as well as the founder and director of Institute for the Transformation of Learning at Marquette University. It is a privilege to be joined by Dr. Howard Fuller. How are you, Dr. Fuller?
I'm good, Andrea. How you doing?
It's a pleasure to have you here with us today. And throughout your career, you've been a staunch promoter of school choice and a passionate champion for equitable education of African American children. And it was kind of like bittersweet to hear that you had decided to retire. So tell me what brought you to that decision at the young age of 79.
Well, Andrea, it's interesting. Mr. Wesley Scott was a mentor of mine, the former head of the Urban League.
Mhm.
And, I spent a lot of time with him the last couple of years of his life. And we were talking one day, and he was kind of musing and a little sad because he was saying, "Oh, I got all this experience, but nobody really wants to listen to me." And the lesson I learned from that was, no matter who you are, at a certain point in time, people can quit listening to you. And it's not that they're trying to be nasty or anything like that. It's just sort of the way the world goes. And so I don't think I'm there yet, but I knew that I was headed in that direction. So I decided to step aside on my own instead of people holding secret meetings wondering if I'm ever going to step aside.
Well,
You know
I
how that
really
goes.
doubt that. But, I wanted to have you here today to kind of reflect on some of your accomplishments, also to give us your thoughts on what's happening in the world of education today and your plans for the future, of course. And so I am definitely still listening. um, One thing about it, you are the founder of the Dr. Howard Fuller Collegiate Academy, which is a local charter school. You will be staying on in that capacity, working there still, right?
Yeah, actually, I'm one of 8 or 9 founders. There were really 8 pastors that worked with me. I don't know, 16 or 17 years ago, to form the school, and
Okay.
so I intend to remain on the board. We're fortunate that Michelle Nettles is now the chair of the board, and I think they made me chair emeritus or something like that. But you know, I intend to remain on the board, and for as long as I can, I want to be able to interact with the students. But given what's happening, we don't know what those interactions are going to look like, in the next school year.
So very true. And I think it was about 5 years ago that you joined us on this show
Yeah.
to kind of look over all of your accomplishments and really your life as a whole with your memoir. And so, looking back as an advocate for school choice, what are you most proud of?
Well, first of all, Andrea, I've always said that I'm an advocate for parent choice, and there is more than a semantical difference. My fight was to try to give low income and working class parents the ability to choose the best education environment for their children. I think that this is a choice that those of us with resources in this country have. And so I wanted to try to make sure that low income and working class parents had some of those same options. So I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that choice exists now throughout this country. And I think, Andrea, we always have to give credit to Polly Williams as being really the pioneer and the person who had the courage back in 1988, 89 to stand up and fight for what became the Milwaukee Parental Choice Program. So I always want to make sure that I honor Polly and that we don't let people forget the significant role that she played. So if there's anything that I'm proud of is that that program exists, it has expanded, that there are choice programs now all over this country, even though they're under attack. But the fact of the matter is they exist. And when we first started this, all of those years ago, many, many parents did not have the options that they have today.
Yeah, and it's important to also note that all of those cities and states across America that are implementing the school choice really did use Milwaukee as a blueprint.
Yes, and again, that's why I think that the role that Polly Williams played is so critical. And again, it pains me that she doesn't get the credit that she deserves.
Yeah, and you're always there. And every time I talk to you, you do give her that credit. So that says so much about who you are. And needless to say, we are in the middle of a pandemic. But from 1988 to 19, was it 94? Or
Uh,
you
but-
served as the director of the Milwaukee County Department of Health and Human Services.
yeah, you know what? I'm trying to, I'm getting all these dates.
I probably went back a little too far,
Well,
but
so,
um,
Andrea, I think I
I think
served.
it was 91. It was
Yeah,
91.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I became the superintendent in 1991, so it was probably 2 years
88 to
before.
91. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I say that to say COVID-19 clearly has made it apparent that there are many health disparities that need to be contended with, especially when it comes to minorities. And you found for many years the inequities regarding low income families of children. And COVID-19 also, in my opinion, really made it apparent that there are so many young people who had to stay home and be educated, and they didn't have access to Wi-Fi and things of that nature, which also put them in a position to be left behind. So, in your opinion, how do we move forward with things like this in mind, with children who you have fought to put in school so they can get an equal education, but at the same time, when they're homeschooled, they may not have that same opportunity?
Yeah, Andrea, I think the issue was much, much greater than just having access to the internet. That was clearly one of them. But the larger problem was there's so many schools in our community that were still operating off of a industrial age paradigm, and they really did not have an online curriculum. The teachers were not trained. The students didn't know anything about it. And so when this pandemic hit, contrary to schools like ours that already had an online curriculum. And the real decision that we had to make was just to let our kids take Chromebooks home. Whereas many schools, they were lost because their whole schooling was based on you had to be in the building and it had to be face to face. So I think what we're now confronting is how is it that kids are going to learn in the 21st century, not only because of the pandemic, but just the nature of how institutional arrangements change. And so it's going to be interesting to see how many schools are going to be able to learn from what has happened over these last several months and see if they're going to change the whole way that they approach schooling. But it's going to require more than just access to the internet. It's going to require us to rethink credits. It's going to require us to rethink the number of hours that kids have to be in school. We're going to have to change the funding formulas. It isn't just going to be a simple thing of do kids come back to a building or not. And very honestly, I'm not sure that we're prepared to make those kind of radical changes, but it's going to be necessary. And it's particularly going to be necessary for the kids that you and I have talked about over all of these years.
Absolutely. So, not only are you known as an education reform advocate, you are also a civil rights activist that co founded the Malcolm X Liberation University back in 1969. So, I can't help but wonder, what are your thoughts on seeing everything that's happening with the Black Lives Matter movement?
Yeah, my thoughts are the more things change, the more that they remain the same. And I'm hopeful that there's going to be real change this time around. I'm not optimistic
Mhm.
because I've heard these arguments before that, oh, we've reached an inflection point. Oh, this is going to happen. That's going to happen. You do see some differences today, but whether or not, Andrea, that's going to lead to real fundamental structural change is, I don't know about that because as people talk about racism, racism is not something that's just tangential to American society. It's woven into the foundation of American society. So that if there's going to be radical change, it isn't just you can change the police or you can change the school system. You're going to have to change the fundamental nature of America. And I do not know that America is prepared to do that. And we have to really look at the fact that there's millions of people in this country who support someone like Donald Trump. And so it's not at all clear that at the end of the day, America is going to be prepared to make real significant change, given the political dynamic and the polarization that exists in this country. I always hope for the best, but I'm in this group that says I'll believe it when I see it.
Gotcha. And that's certainly understandable. You've said that there's a lot of commonality in the arguments between the police union and the teachers union. How so, Dr. Fuller?
Well, I mean, I use, for example, that if you say I've got issues with what's happening to kids in a traditional public school system, people will make the argument you're against public education. They don't
Mhm.
make the argument that you're against the system that delivers public education. If you say I got problems with the fact that the police are still killing Black people, and I know, Andrea, we probably talked about Ernest Lacey at one point in time, which happened back in 1981.
Yes.
George Floyd was killed with the same way that Ernest Lacey was killed. So if you say I got issues with the way that the police department operates, people say you're against public safety. So what I'm saying is that these arguments that they make are the same, because ultimately what it comes down to is protecting the existing system. And so I'm for public safety, but the question is the way that we're going about trying to make the public safe the only way that it can be done? Because clearly there's a section of this country, Black men and Black women in particular, who are not necessarily safe given how the police department has operated. So that's what I meant by that they make similar arguments, which stops you from saying we need to change the system. It doesn't mean I support public education, I support public safety, but I think the way that these two entities are organized needs to be radically rethought.
Gotcha. So there's always been this controversy regarding school choice and public school advocates. Public school advocates believe school choice bleeds needed dollars from the public school system. And last month, President Trump said during a press briefing that school choice is a civil rights statement of the year. And I will note that he said that this is also the civil rights statement of the decade and beyond. Made that statement at a press conference that was supposed to be about police reform and police brutality. And you have made it clear that you feel that Trump is somewhat polarizing or very polarizing in many ways. But the education secretary, she, as well as Trump, have been strong proponents for school choice. Is this a situation where they just happen to be on the same page where you are? Or what are your thoughts on where they stand?
Yeah, Trump ain't on no page that I'm on. And so that, even if he mentions parent choice, I think it's unfortunate because what it does is it connects a movement that has nothing to do with him to him. And
Mm,
so, unfortunately, that's what occurs. And, I wrote an article when he was elected president along with Robin Smiles, well, Robin Williams. But anyway, one of the things Robin Harris, I'm sorry. One of the things we talked about is that he should never be the face of parent choice ever. That's
I,
not in our interest.
I can respect that. And students at the charter school named in your honor, the Dr. Howard Fuller Collegiate Academy, they have done very well. And I would see these stories dealing with some of the young people in the class of 2020, like Ariel and Ariana Williams. They made national headlines after being accepted to 37 colleges and a combined $1 million in scholarships. And these aren't the only young people at your school that did well. There were a long list of them that had to make you extremely proud.
It makes me proud, but I want people to know that those young people work very hard to get
Yeah.
where they are. And I just wish them the best for the future.
Yes, and quickly, just want to talk about a couple of things. You being a graduate of Marquette, talk about the Institute for the Transformational Learning at Marquette and what that has meant to you over the years.
Yeah, I have great affinity for Marquette, and I'm really thankful that Marquette allowed me to spend some 25 years. But if you go back with the 5 years that I spent in EOP, 30 years of my life, I worked at Marquette University, and I'm very grateful for them giving me that opportunity and supporting me. And it wasn't always easy to support me, trust me. And and so I'm very thankful and grateful for them, and I just deeply appreciate the opportunities that they gave me.
Yes, and I did read some statements from many of the people at Marquette. You are going to be missed,
Thank
and
you.
they are going to still be calling you to get your input, whether you realize that or not. But looking at the next chapter of your life, what's on the agenda for Dr. Howard Fuller?
You know what, Andrea? I have no idea.
That's a good place to be. I
Right.
don't know, and it doesn't really matter at this point.
Hey, I'm like 7 days into retirement. I have no idea.
Well, I know I speak for many people when I say thank you for your many years of commitment to education and your passion on being an outspoken advocate and activist for education. So, needless to say, we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure talking to you. Dr. Howard Fuller has been a national figure in the education arena for decades. He's been officially retired as a distinguished professor of education at the Institute for the Transformational Learning at Marquette University. And again, all the best to Dr. Fuller. When we return to our issues Milwaukee, we'll get an update on the MKE Fellows Program and find out how they have adapted during these unpredictable times. We'll discuss that and more right after this.